Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel once again. So we are starting a new video series here which is called the pivot table series on Excel. So in this series we are going to be going through how to build a simple pivot table and also a few other facets about the pivot table, such as how do you build calculated fields, how do you connect slices, how do you make data refresh easy, and so on and so forth. Okay, so before we get into this video, I would request you all to please subscribe to the channel. Please do look at the other videos that we have over here and let me know what you think about them in the comments below on each of those videos or on this video, and that would be of great help to me and some motivation for me to make more videos like this as well. All right, so in today's topic we are going to be looking at building our first pivot table. So if you've never done this and your work demands it and you have never tried it, so this following along this video will help a lot. Okay, so what is a pivot table? Now if you see this data set that I have over here, right now this is like an Amazon sales data set, so you can say this is a supply chain data set. It's got some amount of columns and some data and everything, and it looks very overwhelming, right? You don't know what's going on here. You don't know what insights can you pull out of this, how is this handy, and so on and so forth, right? So you need an easier way to kind of get the control back to you, right? You want the control back to say, okay, I want only this part of the data and I want to analyze, okay, what's going on here, what are the insights we can get, what are the things we can generate, and so on and so forth. All right, so this is where the pivot table comes handy for us. Okay, where you can slice the data in your own way and generate insights or use it in a visualization and things like that. Okay, so how are we going to do this? So now I have just clicked inside this table. Okay, so once I do that, I'm just going to go to insert and I'm going to click pivot table. If you click the pivot table button, it goes to the first option, which is from the table range, but you have other two options where you can connect an external data source, maybe a SQL database or something, or you can also take it from a data model that essentially uses Power Query, right? So in this tutorial I'm going to be going for from table and range. So when I do that, you can see that there is a table and range selected. There are these dotted lines across, which creates the boundary, which means that because I have added the cell in between, right, within the data, it's going to select the entire data set, right? So we have about 9,800 rows, as you can see here. So it's going to select the entire thing. Okay, so that's the table range. But usually what I end up doing is, because sometimes the data can get appended and things like that, right? So what I end up doing is I just click here and I edit it. So I'm going to select all the columns like this. So what I'm doing in this case is I'm selecting entire columns. Okay, so if any extra data comes in, then it becomes easier for us to refresh the data. Okay, the next option here is choose where you want the pivot table to be placed. Okay, so it can be at a new worksheet or it can be at an existing worksheet. Okay, so in this tutorial we're going to go for a new worksheet. Okay, so if it is an existing worksheet, then you set the location as to where you want to do it. So you can put it within the same sheet or you can put it in any other sheet in this workbook. All right, and then you have whether you have the option to choose and analyze multiple tables, and you can add this table to the data model. So this is a Power Query thing which we'll not look at in this video. Okay, so when I click OK, and now you see that there is a pivot table area that's opened. It's a completely new sheet, and you have this box over here which is called the field list. Okay, and this is going to be the engine of your pivot table. Okay, so you're going to be doing all the stuff within this table. Okay, oops, it just went away. Yeah. Okay, so now let's see what is how to understand this table. If you see here, we have all the columns that's lined up in this. Okay, and based on the understanding that I have of the data set, we have many dimensions, but we only have one fact column, which is sales. Okay, so a fact column is, which is a value column, right? Sales, spend, revenue, profit, clicks, impressions, all that stuff. So those are called fact columns. And in this table we only have one, which is sales. The rest are all the dimensions. So dimensions can be your ID, name, category, product, subproduct, and etc., right? So we have those rows over here, and this is how we can then drag them into each of these 4 boxes. Okay, so now we will look at as we are looking over each of the box, we will look at how to how it shows up in the on the pivot table. Okay, so the first thing we are going to do is we are going to go to the single fact column that we have, which is sales. Now if I click this, you can see that by default the sales has landed in the values box. Okay, and you can see the total sales value here, which is about 2.2 million dollars. Okay, so whenever you bring in a fact column, by default you can it comes into the values, because there is an aggregation that happens over here, right? And if you actually open the options and check it, you can actually even have way more operations, average or max min or standard deviation and stuff like that. Okay, and you can also work with the number format on this, which we will do it at a later video. Okay, so now we have the total sum of sales from the data set, right? Just like that. Now what we can do is we can use one of the categories to break down this number. Okay, now for example, I want to use, let's say, segment. Okay, so if I click on segment, it goes to the rows this by default. Okay, so now let's understand what rows and values are. So values are essentially all the cumulative numbers, right, in the fact column. So the cumulative numbers, or any accumulated numbers that you could say, right? So when either it could be sum of something or average of something and things like that. So those will come under values. Okay, and rows is essentially the dimensions of the table. Okay, the breakouts of these numbers. So now this number is broken out at one level, which is the segment level. Okay, but we can add another row and then break these numbers even further. So we can say category. Let's go to category, and now you can see that this furniture, office supplies and technology is repeating across all these, right? So and now you can see the numbers are broken out, right? So if the total for consumer is around 1.1 million, you can see the further breakdown of the 1.1 million here, right? So this is about 359,000, this is 387,000, this is 401,000, and that sums up to this one. So it's the same case even for the others as well. Okay, so and the more you do it, the more breakout it will happen. So you can see here now this has become an even bigger table. Why? Because we have gone to a much lower level, the lowest level, that is the product name, right? So for the sake of simplicity, let's remove this for now. So I just dragged it out and I got rid of it, right? And we have 2 dimensions, so maybe we can add a different dimension. Let's say region. Let's say region. I'm going to put region on top of everything, right? So you can see now there is a region 1 as well. Okay, so there is region, there is segment, and there is category. So that's the level at which it is coming down, down, down. Okay, so this is how you can stack more than one dimension under the rows, and then you can see how you want the construction of the table and how you want the numbers to be broken. All right, so and you can move across, right? So if you want to put category on top and region next, even that's possible. Region at the last and segment before that, that also can be done, depending on what you want as the lowest denominator in the table. All right, so that's about this report. Okay, now if you see here, we started out from a very confused, very overwhelming data set here, but now if you see, just with the help of a few clicks, we are able to get insights. Okay, and we can even compress these. So if you see these boxes over here, I can compress these so that my view becomes much more smaller, right? And now just with the click of a few buttons, we created this table, and we are able to see that, okay, that the category is furniture, office supplies, technology, and under that we have customers across consumer, corporate, home office, and then within that we have more dimensions, that is basically the region. Okay, so region wise we are seeing the spend made for furniture under consumer, same way for furniture under corporate, furniture under home office, similarly office supplies consumer, office supplies corporate, and office supplies home office, and so on and so forth. Right, so this is the simple breakout of everything that we have gotten, and this way we've already started our analysis on the go. Right, now let's understand the next 2 boxes. Okay, the filters box is used to filter this entire table. Okay, it's used to filter all the values in this entire table. Okay, but before that I want you to I want to highlight the difference between filters over here and the filter that we use here. Okay, so when we use a filter over here, we are only saying, okay, I only want to see numbers for only one value or more than one value in a given dimension. Now for example, I have this blank value over here which I don't need, because there's no numbers here and I don't want to see this on my table. So I can just come here and remove the blank, and you can now see the blank is gone. Okay, so the blank is gone, and now we have all the numbers in the concise format. Okay, and if you look at the other things also, you can sort it by, you can do sorting of this one, you can label filters, you can filter by all these things, right? Does not equal, equal, we have contains, does not contains, and so on and so forth. Same way for value filters. Okay, so what is the difference between label filters and value filters? Label filters are these are your labels: furniture, office supplies, region, etc., right? Everything, these are all your label filters. And value filters are your fact filters, where you're saying, okay, sum of sales is greater than 70,000 or 80,000, and so on and so forth. Okay, so this filtering that you're doing over here is within this is within the table that you have created. But if I have to bring a filter over here, let's say I'll put the region as a filter maybe, or let's look at something else. Ship mode. Okay, let's look at ship mode and let's see what do we have. Okay, so we have some options over here. Okay, so we have some options over here, and I enabled select multiple items so that we can select more than one value. Okay, so now if I filter for only a given value, let's say same day, and you see all the numbers change over here, right? All the numbers change just because everything is changed for this ship mode, which is equal to same day. Similarly, you could select another one, so it is first class or same day, and then you can see that again the numbers have changed. So this filter over here is filtering for all the values under this table. Okay, and that is based on the overall arching data set, where you're doing a dimensional filter over here, whereas here you're filtering also with dimension, but you're only doing it versus values, or versus the unique values in a given dimension. Alright, so this way you can add any number of filters again. So if you have ship mode, you want to add maybe state, or you want to add subcategory, right? You can add more and more filters, and you can go even further with all the filtration. Okay, so if state is to this one, I'll just remove that and I'll probably put subcategory. Okay, and I want to say, okay, I want to see appliances, chairs, bookcases, machines, right? So now you see the numbers. We have set the table already based on the breakout of 3 dimensions, and we have added multiple filters. Your ship mode has 2 checks, and then here we have about 4 checks. Okay, so this entire table is filtered this way. Now we go on to the last box, which is the columns box. Now so far what we have seen is when you added more dimensions to the row section, right? So what you see is that the table is just going down, down, and down, right? You're just increasing the number of rows over here. Okay, but we can also do this by increasing the number of columns, right? Instead of increasing the data set like this, I can increase the data like this as well, right? In a horizontal fashion. Okay, so that is where this columns field comes into play. Okay, so now if you see that the region is hidden inside these boxes, so what if I move this region to columns? And now you can see it's a more concise table and a more cleaner table, because everything is just visible to you within a given area, right? So furniture, and then you have your category and segment, and then it is broken out by central, east, south, and west. And all the numbers are in a single line, so you can see that which region is having more sales based on the n number of dimensions that you put. So you can add another extra dimension here. Let's say I will add I will take a smaller dimension. Maybe product name will be too big, but yeah, okay, yeah, so product name is too big, so I'm going to remove that, and I'm going to stick with it. I don't think I have any other dimension. What about country? Country is only United States, so that makes no difference there. But again, you can see that the only the row increased, but this remains the same, because we have already made the layout. All right. So in this way, if you see now, we have created our first pivot table just by just with a few clicks and a few drag and drops. Okay, and we are already in a position where we can display as to what are the sales across which product category and which region have they done well, and we also have all these filters across which we can filter and analyze the numbers and compare them as well. Alright, so before we end this video, there's another point I want to show you, that when you create a pivot table like this, you will get a pivot table analyze ribbon over here. Okay, and where you're going to get a lot of options over here as well to rename your pivot table, to show details, to enter timeline, slicer, refreshing your data, and then doing other things, clearing, inserting calculated fields, pivot charts, and so on and so forth. Okay, you also get this field list button, which is the field list that we just explored now, to add the dimensions and facts into it. All right, so that's the field list. And then the other tab that gets activated is the design tab. Okay, so we can actually style our pivot tables the way we want, and there are a few other options as to how to show totals, what should be the layout, what to do about blank values, and so on and so forth. Okay, so we will come to the specialities of all these in a separate video. So with this, we come to the end of this video. If you like this video, please do hit the like button, do comment and let me know what you thought about this video, and if you have any other feedback related to the video or to the channel. Okay, and please do subscribe to the channel as well. We have more data related content like this coming your way, and I would love it if I would get some encouragement to do the same, so that I can make better videos for you all. All right, so until the next video, this is me signing off, and cheers.